All good things must come to an end at some point, just like the Red Sox 6-game win streak at the hands of the Chicago White Sox on Wednesday. Welcome to the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every day. I am your host, NESN's Lauren Campbell, and for Thursday's episode, we're going to break down the Wednesday loss that snapped that 6-game win streak, how Rich Hill shouldered most of the blame, even though he's not really too much to blame here. Red Sox fans saw a lot of what happened in April, leaving men on base and in scoring position. We're going to do a quick update on Rafael Devers' contract extension talks after he spoke to the Boston Globe earlier this week. And we're going to talk about Josh Wincowski because he is pitching in one of the games on Saturday. The Red Sox do have a doubleheader, so a lot to get into. Let's just get right to it.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. Make sure you tell them Locked On sent you. So the Red Sox were on fire recently going into Wednesday's game. They had won 8 out of 10, had won 6 in a row, and they were cruising through 5 innings. They were up early 1-0 thanks to Alex Verdugo and Rich Hill, who was marvelous. Going into the 5th inning, he had faced the minimum amount of batters through 4 innings. He looked really, really good. And this came after an ugly start for him last week where he realized he was tipping his pitches and said, hey, I cannot do that anymore. And he came back Wednesday. He bounced back really, really strong. He gave you 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. However, as good as he was through those 4 innings, in the 5th inning, everything kind of seemed to, I don't want to say fall apart because it's not like everything just unraveled or anything, but maybe as much as Rich Hill is shouldering some of this blame, maybe we can put it on my fiance in some regard because we were sitting down watching the game. We were flipping between the game and the Colorado Avalanche versus the St. Louis Blues Western Conference semifinal playoff game, and we switched to the Red Sox, and we go as Rich Hill. We're watching Rich Hill. He's got this slider that's just unbelievable, and he says, this is why no one's hitting him. He's throwing 70-mile-per-hour cheese, and on Rich Hill's very next pitch, Jake Berger hits a 3-run home run, and that's the difference right there. They put the White Sox up 3-1. They'd eventually win by that score, and after the game, Rich Hill said that it was just that one pitch that was the mistake, the one pitch he wants back. And it's one of those pitches that keeps him up at night. And he said, this one's on me. And as much as I love the accountability from Rich Hill, especially after a not so stellar start last week against the Mariners, you can't really put this on Rich Hill at all. And you looked at the offense, only 1 run. They left 12 men on base, and they went 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Red Sox fans saw a lot of this in April where they struggled mightily to hit with runners in scoring position, to hit with men on base. And this was a lot of what happened on Wednesday, unfortunately. They had a chance to tie the game, to maybe even take the lead in the 7th when the Red Sox loaded the bases with Alex Verdugo, the person you probably want in that position, given he was the reason the Red Sox were up 1-0 earlier in the game. But he did ground out to end the inning in the 7th, end the threat, and the Red Sox, at the end of the day, just couldn't get anything done. But after the game, there's still a lot of positives here to take away, despite it being a loss. Alex Cora said they're in a good spot right now. They were commanding the strike zone. They were taking control of the strike zone. And the Red Sox were. They just weren't getting the timely hits this time around. It's not like they were impatient like they were in April. And the Red Sox were held to 1 run on Wednesday after scoring 61 runs in their last 6 games. So over that 6-game win streak. So Rich Hill looked good. He made that one mistake. The offense, not so good. Hopefully that can change tonight in their finale. Hopefully the Red Sox can win this series. That would be really nice if they could win yet another series especially coming home to start a series against the Baltimore Orioles. They were flip-flopping last place in the AL East. Now the Red Sox can really kind of maybe get some revenge from how they played against the Orioles earlier this season and gain some ground in the AL East because now they have some momentum. But another person in this game on Wednesday was Tanner Houck, and he was moved to the bullpen after Garrett Whitlock was moved to the starting rotation. We all know how I feel about that, but Tanner Houck, has been wonderful out of the bullpen, and that continued on Wednesday. He told WEEI's Rob Bradford last week that he changed his grip on one of his pitches, and it just seems to be working for him. And I'm a big proponent of, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's what we've always said growing up. I'm going to say it as an adult, and we're going to say this as Tanner Houck continues to be really strong out of the bullpen. So he was added to the rotation on May 7th, and since then, Tanner Houck has begun to gain a ton of confidence in his role. You look at his performance on May 20th against the Mariners, that was pretty much the highlight of this current run for the Red Sox, and he went 4 innings, and that's when he changed his pitching approach, the grip on his pitches, and things have really seemed to be working with him. And on Wednesday night, Houck was called upon to relieve Rich Hill against Chicago, and despite the loss, Houck still gave you 3 scoreless innings, striking out 3. And he said last season that he didn't want to put himself into the bullpen because he didn't want to see that as taking the easy way out. He was developed as a starter. That's what he wanted to do, but he's happy playing any role for this Red Sox team. And he's always said his mindset is always positive. He's an incredibly positive person. He's a great person to talk to as well. And after the game, he said, "I've said it before. I really do take it as the same, whether I'm starting or relieving. As long as I'm going multiple innings, I'm comfortable. 1 inning, I'm comfortable. Same thing. No matter how many innings are out there, how many pitches you've thrown, he's comfortable." So to see him kind of come into this role as a relief pitcher, even though people have called him the right-handed Chris Sale, they've had a lot of hype around him as a starter. It just really hasn't been able to kind of fall his way in that regard, but he's been a wonderful addition to this bullpen. He did struggle. I mean, who didn't struggle at the beginning of the season unless your name was Bogarts, Devers, or Martinez? But Houck has done wonders out of the bullpen, especially of late, and if he can continue this confidence, there's going to be somebody in that bullpen you can trust. And that's what the Red Sox really, really need right now. No, pitching is not the reason they lost Wednesday. Was that offense, 12 men on base, 1 for 9 in scoring position. You can't do that against the White Sox. You can't do that against any team. I've preached that since April, since the beginning of the 2022 season. But I love what Houck has been doing. I love the confidence. I love the mindset. And you have to go check out this picture of his new grip because just the placement of his fingers, it's just a little bit different. And it's done wonders for him. And hopefully it continues to do wonders for him because, like I said, the Red Sox really need somebody they can trust out of that bullpen. And if he can be that guy, he is in for a nice career, hopefully with the Red Sox, and just finally be able to find a role that truly, truly fits him. Coming up in our second segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast, we're going to talk about Josh Wincowski, who will be one of the starters on Saturday during the doubleheader against the Orioles, and also provide a very small update on the Rafael Devers contract extension that doesn't really need to happen until next season. But first, I do want to tell you about Rock Auto, because with the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's now nearly impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts your car may need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse just so happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and right in your pocket. You can save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and Rock Auto's prices are reliably low for every single customer. Go to rockauto.com right now to see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. Recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts taking fans through the season like no other network. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So Josh Wincowski has been doing really well in AAA Worcester. I did say recently on the Rob Dibble show that I'm surprised he hasn't been called up sooner, because I thought maybe when a time when Rich Hill had COVID, you weren't sure with Chris Sale's setback, maybe he could provide just an extra boost to give the starters and even the relievers just a little bit of rest. But with the doubleheader coming on Saturday against the Orioles at Fenway Park, it sounds like Josh Wincowski will pitch. Alex Cora did pretty much say as much, that he will start Saturday. And I do think this is the right call. Wincowski has a 3.13 ERA in 7 starts with AAA, and he's recorded more strikeouts than innings pitched. So he has 34 strikeouts and 31 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's got quality command. He only has 6 walks on the season. So hopefully what he's done in Worcester can translate to the big leagues, and maybe he can earn a spot in this rotation. I think this will be a good test for him. You know, it is the Baltimore Orioles. I don't want to call them the lowly Orioles because the Red Sox aren't all that better than them standings wise at the moment. They, like I said in the first segment, they did flip-flop from worst, who could be the worst team in the AL East for a little while in April, but the Red Sox are no longer in last place in the AL East. Hopefully it stays that way after tonight or after the series against the Orioles. And Josh Wincowski could be a part of that. So I'm very excited to see what he's got. I think Red Sox fans have been curious about this guy for a little while now, and I hope that he can continue this command. Hopefully he can limit these walks, keep men off base, and give the Red Sox some quality innings, give them a quality outing, and build that confidence, because hopefully he's going to be a valuable part of this starting rotation going forward. And speaking of valuable pieces to this Red Sox team, Rafael Devers, I'm sure you have seen the pay Raffy, pay Devers, pay the man. I'm sure maybe even you've contributed to those tweets and the Facebook posts and Instagrams every time he hits a home run, every time he makes a nice play, or just does something good for the Red Sox, which 9 times out of 10 he's usually going to do. So he's a free agent after the 2023 season. So the Red Sox do have him under contract until next year. But of course, Red Sox fans are antsy, especially with the uncertain future of Xander Bogaerts. There's going to 100% always be a storyline around these two until we know exactly what their next move is. So the Boston Globe spoke with Devers. They asked him about a contract extension because there's the whole don't want to talk during the season. 100% respect that and completely understand why. And he said, growing up as a kid, this was my favorite team. To be able to sign with the club, it meant a lot. The organization means a lot to me. We had those contract talks during spring training and they didn't work out. But when the time is right, we'll have those discussions after the season and see where it goes from there, because obviously I love this place. I want to be here, and it's just a matter of just finding that right formula. So I think he's saying everything right. Of course, it's always about that quote unquote right formula to get him to stay here. So I did a little research about what you can compare him to, what the market comps could be for someone like Devers. And Nolan Arenado, as a 28-year-old, signed an 8-year deal worth $260 million with the Rockies. He was eventually traded to St. Louis. There's also Jose Ramirez. He signed a 7-year, $141 million extension with Cleveland prior to this season, and he will be 30 later on this year. And then, of course, there's Manny Machado, who signed the history-making deal with the Padres, 10 years, $300 million. And I could see that kind of serving as the benchmark for a player like Devers. Him and Machado kind of have comparable numbers when they first began their careers. So you kind of look at those, and maybe that's anywhere from 140 to 300 could be where the Red Sox are looking to pay Devers. I do think a lot of it is, where do they see Devers on this team for the foreseeable future? Is it third base? Is it the DH position? Is it first base? There's endless possibilities that Red Sox fans have come up with, and I think he wants to play third. I think he's comfortable at third. Yes, his defense can improve 100%. He's still young, but he's been in the league long enough where I feel like his defense hopefully can only get better. And of course, I'd love to see him in a Red Sox uniform for the rest of his career. I just don't think the Red Sox want to shell out $300 million for a potential third baseman, only for him to maybe be the DH 2 years later. I am not in the front office. I am not in charge of making these decisions, so I don't know. But that would be my best guess. But I think if Chaim Bloom and the Red Sox want to keep their fans happy, you should keep both Devers and Bogaerts, but you should be keeping at least at the very minimum one of these guys on their roster for the rest of their careers. Coming up in our third segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast, as always, we are going to do the mental health minute and end this show that way. But first, I want to tell you about LinkedIn, because spring is here and it's a time of renewal and growth personally and professionally. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. I found my job on LinkedIn at NESN. Jake found his job with the Massachusetts Pirates on LinkedIn. So it's very, very good. It's reliable, and it can connect you with those people that you want to talk to for free. You can create a job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond, the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring, so your network can help you find the right people. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and then hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. So to wrap up this show, we are going to do the mental health minute, and the world is really heavy right now. There's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of sadness in the news, and this is just a gentle reminder that it's okay to get lost in a silly little baseball game. It's okay to get lost in a silly little hockey game, a basketball game. It's okay to get lost in a book, get lost on a walk. Don't literally get lost, but just free your mind of the sadness, all of the news that you're listening to, that you're consuming. And what's going on is very important. There's 100% no minimizing that right now, but just a gentle reminder to take care of your mental health, especially during really, really tough times, really sad times, and maybe times you're not even sure how to react. And it's okay, like I said, to just melt into your couch, free your mind of what's going on, even if it's only for 10 minutes. We consume a lot of news throughout our day, whether it's on our phones, in the newspapers, and on TV. It's always around us. And it's very, very easy to just get lost in that and go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. And you don't want that to completely take 100% of your mind. So just that gentle reminder to take care of yourself. Do whatever you have to do by any means necessary to make sure you're still okay at the end of the day, because even though there's heavy stuff going on in the world, your heart's a little heavier, your heart's a little sadder, you still need to take care of yourself. And it's okay to do that by any means necessary that makes you feel better. Thank you for tuning into Thursday's episode of the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe right here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. Me, Lauren, 3 Laws, Lauren with 4 R's, and Jake at Jake Iggy. Be sure to check out all the other Locked On shows across the network. Locked On Astros, Locked On Yankees, Locked On A's, Locked On Reds. Everyone is doing a really great job here. And now that you've made Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every day, be sure to check out Locked On MLB for your second listen. Paul Francis Sullivan, but please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective of major leaguers, both past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much once again for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen. Be sure to tune back in Friday for Friday's episode. Hopefully we're talking about a Red Sox series win and get you ready for the weekend series, Memorial Day weekend series against the Orioles. Have a great day. We will see you Friday. Let's go Red Sox.